Hello guys, I'm at Strazdas, a sound designer, and today I'm going to be running my first fly on the wall. And it's not going to be a tutorial, it's more of an in-depth of how I work and just showing you some of my techniques and some of the work I previously did. So I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, let's get things started. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Let's run Logic. Logic is a program that I use for all my sound design work. That's my main DAW. And the first thing I always do is just start with a fresh template that basically is empty, just as a MIDI for the kick drum. The first thing I would do when starting on a new project, I would always just have just a few elements running in the background just to get me inspired. So, because if you are making hundreds of loops and you have a deadline a few days, you might get really bored just having those few loops and nothing else running. So it's always nice to have some sort of background, some sort of drums to get you into the vibe, and it helps you achieve a better result at the end, I believe. So this is how it starts. Let's have just a few things running now. I'm just going to load a kick sound. I have loads of channel strips. It's literally hundreds of channel strips that I saved throughout the years for different tasks. It's always helpful to do so, because then you can come back and refine them. And if I need to come back to a specific sound that I did in the past, I can look it up from my library, say that there's gonna be a loop number 33, and I can always load it up, sound 33, and it will sound the same, and I can do more stuff with it. So it's a good way to work. So I've just loaded a kick sample here. Let me just bypass my audio so you can hear it well. Okay, just a basic kick, nothing else. I'm just going to put a simple limiter to make sure it's not peaking. Yep. Okay, next thing, I would just do maybe just a simple drum pattern, just something groovy to add to the kick. So I'm going to add another channel. What I use for my drums is Battery from Native Instruments. It's a great plugin. I've been always using this for the drums and just single hits. Where it is, Battery, yep. Okay. Okay guys, so say for example I like this groove, it's just busy, interesting, and I'm just gonna keep it like this as a basis, as a startup for my project. And now the next stage is really dependent on what I would do on the type of the product. So if it's just loops, or if it's drum hits, or if it's sim shots, if it's presets. But just for example, let's say I have to do Loops, melodic loops. I did quite a few of these packs where it contains about 100 or more melodic elements to start your tracks, and they are called Melodic Progressive House Melodic Series. They did amazingly well on Beatport. I've been to two of them did number one position on Beatport, and one was number three. So I'm really excited about those packs, and I'm just going to show you how I would go about them, how I go about making them. So the next stage is to load up another instrument and get some sort of melodic musical idea going. I always start with melodic ideas first, and then develop the sound. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, one more thing I wanted to mention to you guys is I when I work like this, when I work on developing loops for my projects, I usually just use the MIDI matrix or piano roll, how it's called in Logic, to do my chord progressions, melodies, and all of the MIDI information on a fly. That's usually what I do, and I find it really quick. The way I think is always in numbers of chord progressions, so I can just use any chord progression like 1 4 5 6 4 5 1 or etc. And then I just start with there as a basis, and I develop chords from there, and I develop the rest from there, and then change the voicing. And for me, it just makes sense. It's very quick, and I can later on finish. I mean, change the scales and keys and stuff like that. So let's see what I can come up with now. I just loaded Serum here, and a simple saw will do just for now, uh, just to create some sort of melodic idea. Okay, so in this case, I just that's how I usually start. It's just a few notes, but to me, it already represents a chord progressions. But I already see and hear in my head a chord progression, and it's C minor scale, for example. It's chord number 1, chord number 6, number 5, and back to 6 again. It's very basic chord progression. So let's get this developed. Okay, so now we can hear the actual chords in place, but they are now too far apart. So I feel maybe just try different variations to see if we can get this more smoother sounding. Okay, so it sounds more coherent now, and I think it's good as a starting point. I'm just going to try and add a rhythm to it to make it more interesting. Okay, so that's fairly basic chord progression here. That's how I would usually start. Just get this developed fairly quickly. And now I would just build a simple top line on the top, just so there is more melodic or element or movement to this simple chord progression. Let's see what we could experiment with.